Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, candidates are throwing their hats in the ring for the State Parliament's empty seat after Sarah Courtenay's shock resignation. It's almost certain to stay blue after the Liberal Party polled strongly in Bass last year, but it's not clear just who will be elected.
It's the battle for Bass, round 2. They may have only scored 2.6% of the primary vote between them at last year's state election, but one of Lara Alexander, Greg Keeser and Simon Wood are headed for Parliament.
With Hare Clark, I don't claim to be an expert on the mechanics of that. I'll just, like the other two, sit and wait.
It's one of those situations where you cannot approach it lightly. It will come, if I was to be successful, it will come with a lot of responsibility.
Candidates who ran at the election have until the 25th of this month to nominate for the recount, triggered by Sarah Courtenay's resignation. Greens candidate Jack Davenport will also stand. However, with the Liberals polling 3.6 quotas in Bass, it's almost assured they'll retain the seat and their slender majority. Premier Peter Gutwein says he'll release his new cabinet in the coming days. Until then, Jeremy Rockcliffe will continue as Education Minister.
It's probably been a good time, to be honest, in terms of the synergies needed across those two portfolios to support a smooth transition back to school.
Labor says it's not good enough to have one person doing two jobs.
We need leadership in the education portfolio. We need stability. We need someone who's committed to the job and can get on with it.
I have no doubt that those ministers that will take on over the next period and have done so, that they have the capacity to manage that.
But it's unclear who the permanent minister will be.
It does highlight a lack of depth in the Cabinet and the Liberal Party.
We have a very capable team and there will be a person, no doubt, within that very capable team that will take on extra ministerial duties.
No matter who it is, they'll have their hands full, according to the AEU.
I think the priority needs to be providing safe learning environments for our schools, and then also making sure we can address the workload issues in schools and also the teacher shortage and our support staff shortage.
With the union also waiting on 3 new bargaining agreements to be negotiated, it's sure to be a busy term. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian business owners have shared their struggles of keeping afloat since the state's border reopened. It comes as the Shadow Treasurer slammed the government's failure to listen. Labor is now calling for urgent action to provide relief to eligible businesses.
I'd just like to be confident with my staff to say, yes, we can do this. We can get through this next period and everyone will have jobs.
We're calling on the government to provide immediate relief. Rebate the fixed costs on the next water bill, rebate the network charges on the next power bill.
But the government is more positive about how the economy is holding up, today revealing a surprise growth in revenue in its revised estimates report, along with the lowest unemployment rate in more than a decade.
The settings that we have put in place in terms of ensuring that people were confident, that they would continue to spend and invest are holding.
It comes as the state reported 552 new COVID cases overnight. One person remains in ICU, with 3 schools now tackling outbreaks of the virus. Firefighters have conceded it may take days to wrestle back control of a bushfire at Labrina. Hot temperatures and unpredictable winds proving a nightmare for crews, with the blaze tripling in size overnight.
Smoke consumes the sky as flames creep closer to the road. This is what faced firefighters last night, working frantically to control the blaze, but the weather had a different idea.
Overnight it moved extremely fast. It more than tripled in size.
Today was less intense, but dry fuel loads and hot winds have proved challenging to contain. Yet the assault continues on the ground and from the air. Waterbombing helicopters have been topping up at this berry farm managed by Bradley Hill.
They're doing their best to sort of try and put it out, but it is still out of control.
While confident the blaze poses no immediate threat, he is wary of the unpredictable change in conditions.
This time of year doesn't take much for it to ignite.
Nearby wineries are also holding their breath ahead of the crucial harvest period. Lingering smoke has the potential to taint an entire year's work, but Brook Eden owner Edward Ferrero isn't concerned yet.
It'd have to get a fair bit thicker than this to start affecting grape quality.
The TFS has confirmed the fire is the result of a private burn-off gone wrong. No homes have been lost, but the flames have moved fast through plantation areas.
This incident shows how quickly a fire can escalate.
Extra crews will be deployed tomorrow to help bolster containment lines. As for bringing the entire blaze under control, it could be days.
After Sunday, we should have a better idea.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Mountain biking, rowing and even wood chopping are emerging as sports Tasmania could readily host if the state wins a slice of the 2026 Commonwealth Games. The bid has attracted nationwide attention, even kicking up a storm in Australia's padlocked West.
Could Derby crown the Commonwealth Games King of the Mountain? Will we see sailing gold on the River Derwent? Or how about introducing a sport which Tasmania would surely win?
The rules are you can have any sports you like now, so maybe wood chopping, you know. Few Commonwealth countries do that.
David Foster could even lead the baton relay. All options are being explored by the Premier, who is meeting with Commonwealth Games bosses next week to push the state's case.
There is no reason that sailing or road cycling could not be held here.
Veteran Olympics official Brian Rowe says the pitch to host all or part of the 2026 Games came as a surprise. He likes the idea, but
I think the accommodation is the big problem, not just for the teams, but for officials, spectators, suppliers.
He says sharing the load with Victoria would be the best option.
They host, say, 14, 15 events, and we find 5 or 6 down here, which would really suit us.
The bombshell bid blindsided Melbourne.
Back off Tasmania, we're the sporting capital right here in Victoria.
And sparked ridicule from WA, decrying teeny tiny Tasmania's nerve.
It is just the worst distraction I think I've ever seen.
When we have hospitals in need and we have schools in need and we have other infrastructure issues, why would we put the money in the Commonwealth Games?
And people are kind and nice and friendly, big smile on their faces. Tasmania deserves it.
As for these guys, well, they're just like a one games wonder from Kuala Lumpur 98 to return.
We just follow cricket. We are Indian, so definitely we follow the more cricket.
First the Ashes, maybe a cricket gold medal match is next. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Firefighters continue to battle the Labrina fire. A leading expert is warning parts of Tasmania are a tinderbox due to a drier than usual summer. The fire service is also taking action ahead of warm temperatures this weekend, halting fire permits for southern areas of the state.
Tasmania's wet spring saw nature blossom. However, that growth is now fast becoming an issue. Utah's Professor David Bowman has studied fire conditions for decades. He says despite autumn being around the corner, we're entering a dangerous period.
Historically dry conditions, the rivers are very low, which means that the landscape is primed to burn.
The West Coast a particular concern. Bureau of Meteorology figures show parts of the region are experiencing their driest summer on record. Professor Bowman recently undertook a trip to the area, recording some alarming observations.
All of that fine growth that grew during the spring is now completely hayed off. So we're in a very dangerous situation.
The TFS is also on alert.
Late February, March even, will probably be times of some concern, given that we've got large amounts of growth that have occurred because of the rain.
Residents in the Greater Hobart area also warned not to become complacent.
That if we continue to get this hot, dry weather, all we need is an ignition and some strong winds, and we're going to have a big bushfire on our hands.
Meanwhile, any plans for fires in the southern regions this weekend have been extinguished by authorities. An embargo on fire permits will be in place from 2 a.m. tomorrow through until 2 a.m. Tuesday.
Because of the weather conditions have raised our fire danger rating in that area.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
The The marathon swimmer dubbed the Queen of the English Channel will support an attempt by Hobart man to take on Tasmania's most gruelling swim. Chloe McArdle will crew for Peter Tucker as he attempts the River Derwent Big Swim from New Norfolk to the Tasman Bridge on Sunday morning. Ms McArdle has crossed the channel a record 44 times, including once with Peter in 2019.
So we'll need to monitor Peter for potentially for hypothermia. I think that's a very minimal risk in his case, but it's a very high risk for a lot of swimmers that their core temperature may drop suddenly.
She holds numerous records, is recognised and is now the Queen of the Channel for the most English channel crossings. If you want a coach, you go and get Chloe.
Chloe will also run an information session for those looking to take the plunge. It's at Kingston Beach on Sunday afternoon from 1:30. Sexual assault and family violence survivors in Tasmania will now have the chance to share their lived experience to inform the government's next action plan into the issue. The collaborative approach has been developed in conjunction with victim survivors and community service providers. An online public survey which was released today will make up a large part of gathering the vital information.
I'm personally a survivor of child sexual abuse and family violence. I literally had to disappear, change my name, my birth date, my children's names.
It can be any demographic, it can be any age, it can be any socio-economic group. And that's why we want to stop family and sexual violence before it starts.
A statewide advertising campaign will also run over the coming months to encourage others to speak out before the release of the new action plan in July. The group behind the Where's Peng Shui t-shirts at the Australian Open has shifted its focus to a controversial mining project in the Tarkine. Democratic Alliance protesters lowered the Chinese flag at MMG's Rosebery mine on the west coast. They're calling for the company's proposed tailings dam to be moved away from the area.
Seeing those kind of trees in the Tarkine is really mind-blowing. I didn't even know they existed. And the next thing I know, the Chinese government is trying to tear them down.
We need to wake up to the threat that is coming from the Chinese government. This is, China's invasion of our forests.
The Alliance is planning to run Senate candidates at this year's federal election. More Tasmanians in need will have energy-efficient appliances subsidised thanks to increased government funding. The no-interest loan scheme Tasmania, known as NILS, has been given an extra $1 million to continue paying part of the cost of white goods bought via the program.
If it's an energy-efficient appliance, we apply a $300 subsidy provided by the state government in Aurora, and that means that $1,000 fridge only costs the client a $700 loan.
NILS was established to provide Tasmanians financial support without needing to access payday lenders.
It's just amazing, the people that come and they buy something new, maybe for the first time, instead of buying an $80 lawnmower that breaks down every 5 months or 6 months.
The company helped Tasmanians buy 500 fridges and 350 heat pumps in 2021.
Basketball fans in the state's north will get a chance to see the Jack Jumpers in action when they hit the court for their first NBL match in Launceston next month. The Jack Jumpers will host the New Zealand Breakers at the Silverdome on March 5. The round 14 clash will also form part of the league's Indigenous round. The Patrick Payne-trained The Nephew has lived up to his favourite status in today's Tasmanian derby at Elwick. Despite being caught wide for most of the race, the 3-year-old gelding stormed home on the straight to take out the $150,000 listed event. The Nephew was paying $2.70 for the win. Ashy Boy finished second, while Dodgy One was third. The first day of Race Tasmania has thrown up a mixed bag of results as the TCR cars hit the track for their first sessions of 2022. Will Brown topped the timesheets in his Audi in the morning session before Zach Sutar posted the fastest lap of the day in the afternoon. The Trans Ams and the S5000s also tested out the course today, with the racing to continue at Symonds Plains from 10:40 tomorrow morning. A 13-year-old snooker shark from Launceston has reached a world final. Lily Meldrum finished runner-up in the Women's World Under-21 Championship in the UK. It's another feather in her cap, adding to her multiple Australian junior titles. Fantastic story. And tonight's Friday Flashback is to the state's infamous Commonwealth Games snub. Who could forget when Brisbane decided there was simply no room for Tasmania and the backlash it caused? For mainlanders, 1982's Commonwealth Games is best remembered for Matilda, the 13-metre tall winking kangaroo. But for Tasmanians, there's another enduring image.
When the camera zoomed out, the children had formed a map of Australia. There was a circle of youngsters around it and, unfortunately, no room for Tasmania.
The omission drew outrage, but also sparked a major media campaign spruiking, "You can make it in Tasmania."
You can make it in a beautiful land. You can make it like it's really grand.
There was the example of the Commonwealth Games in Queensland that were lifting the spirits of Queensland. And I felt that we had a responsibility to try and do the same.
So you devised your own morale booster for Tasmania?
Yes.
Edmund Rouse's rousing response to the snub worked, with weightlifter Ron Laycock becoming the first Tasmanian to win gold in Auckland in 1990. Chris Bacon also won in the judo that year, before Canada '94 launched one of Tasmania's most successful medal journeys.
But it's going to be a gold medal Australia, Melissa Carlton.
At just 16, Melissa Carlton became the first local to win a swimming gold medal at the Commonwealth Games.
I felt really good throughout the whole race, especially in the last 25 metres.
Tim O'Shannessy won Team Pursuit gold on his way to being named 1994's Tasmanian of the Year, before Paul Wiggins wrapped up the third Tassie triumph in the wheelchair marathon, proving to the world
You can make it in Tasmania.
And that song has been stuck in my head all day.
I reckon it has. It's a good one though. Thanks, Tom.
Good evening. A sunny day today in the north and northwest with cloudy patches about the rest of the state. Hobart 21, Launceston 26, the state's high, Burnie 24 and Devonport 23. Smithton and Lowhead 24 today, 23 at Ouse and the Friendly Beaches, 22 on Flinders Island, King Island 21 along with St Helens, 20 for Grove and Strawn, Maria Island 19 and Lyweenie just 15 today. A band of mid to high level cloud clearing the state today to the northeast. A broad area of low cloud covered the west and south. Cloud associated with thunderstorm activity about the east and north, with low level cloud about the southeast of the country and Tasmania due to onshore winds. The remainder of the country is mostly cloud free. Tomorrow a high sits to the south of Tasmania, maintaining ridges over central and southeastern Australia. A cold front brushes the south coast of WA and troughs remain dominant over the north and southwest of the country. Southeast to northeasterly winds 10 to 20 knots, reaching 20 to 30 knots in the northwest and up to 25 knots in the south later. Seas 1 to 2 metres. A strong wind warning has been issued for the far northwest coast. Hobart and Oatlands partly cloudy tomorrow 21, Maydena 23 and also partly cloudy. A mostly sunny day ahead tomorrow in Launceston, 27 degrees, Devonport partly cloudy 21 and 19 and partly cloudy in Lyweenie. Burnie mostly sunny 21, 23 and partly cloudy for both Strawn and Marrawar. Partly cloudy on the east coast tomorrow, St Helens 21, Swansea and Orford 20. The UV's 10 across the state tomorrow, sunrise 6:29am rather. Looking ahead now to Sunday, fine apart from possible showers in the northwest highlands and the southwest in the evening. Monday mainly fine and mainly fine on Tuesday as well. High temperatures across parts of the mainland tomorrow, 31 in Adelaide, sunny, Melbourne mostly sunny 29, 30 in Brisbane with a shower or two also for Sydney 26 and a sunny 37 degrees in Alice Springs. Currently in Hobart it's partly cloudy 17, Launceston partly cloudy and 21 and Devonport sunny and 20. And it looks like a hot day tomorrow for Launceston, Kim.
Well, that's all your news for now. Enjoy our coverage of the Winter Olympics tonight. Lou will join you over the weekend. Thanks for your company this week. Good night.